Welcome in to the Michigan basketball postgame live show on this Sunday, game number 2 on the season. As the Deacon Wolverine Challenge down there in Greensboro, North Carolina, Michigan taking on Wake Forest out of the ACC, and the Wolverines come up short by a bucket. Wake Forest 72 and Michigan 70. Ready to talk about it with you and tell you everything that happened in this one. Michigan was a 2.5-point favorite right at tip-off, checking ESPN bet, and that line had changed from earlier in the day where actually Wake Forest was the favorite. So some money coming in on Michigan. And, the Wolverines were looking good right out of the gate. They had Reuben Jones, who didn't play in the opener. He came in, and the lefty knocked down a couple threes. Michigan was up by 13, by as many as 13 in the first half. But Wake, to close out the half, they went on a 10-0. It ended up being a 10-3 run because Trey Donaldson threw up a half-court shot from way over on the right side, caught glass, and so Michigan had a 4-point lead at the break. And then just taking a look at it, with under 4 minutes ago, I started writing down some notes on each possession, but up until that point, you look at it, and Michigan's offensive game, their jumpers, they just ran dry. They just started missing too many shots, and they did, to their credit, instead of just continuing to hoist, and jack up shots, they went to Vlad Golden, once in transition, one other time down in the post, and he got him back-to-back buckets, and it was a 1-point game with under 3 minutes to go. But really, when you look at the execution, under 3 minutes to go, Danny Wolf aired a three. Michigan played some defense. Trey Donaldson came down on the break, and he missed a fast break layup. So you get an air ball, you miss a fast break air ball or a fast break layup, you get some offensive rebounds, and then Danny Wolf, and this happened again, and maybe it was the Greensboro floor. It would be interesting to hear if, too much condensation or something like that. But Danny Wolf then slips. So under 3 minutes to go, Wolf with an air ball, a missed layup, and then another slip. And then the next time Michigan gets the ball, and Wake Forest kind of just throws it away. They weren't valuing the possession either. But then Gale Jr., the guy that you want to have the ball, he just tripped over like an imaginary rope at the top, like kind of the same spot as Wolf again. Maybe, they'll say they went out there and the floor was slippery, but he just, he fell over, an unforced turnover, and Michigan ended up with 16 of those on the game. But by then, you're talking about under a minute, 40 seconds to go, and it ends up being a free throw game. Michigan did a nice job playing once it was under, they were down 4 and it was a 1-possession game. They did a nice job fouling Wake Forest and put them on the line, but the Demon Deacons hit all of them till the end. Michigan did have a shot, but to Wake Forest's credit and to their head coach, they weren't allowing Michigan any opportunities to shoot the three. They were fouling and putting them on the line, which it's taken about 10, 20 years. We talked about this 20 years ago. If you're up 3 points and there's under 20 seconds to go, you're not allowing the other team to come down and shoot a three. You're fouling them and putting them on the line. And most coaches over then the last 10 years adopted the philosophy of fouling. And then I think they almost all have come kicking and screaming where, you use that strategy. And certainly Wake Forest did, and they made most of their free throws. And the Demon Deacons are able to walk away with this victory down in this game that was played in Greensboro, not Wake Forest's court, but right there in their own backyard in North Carolina. In the end, 16 turnovers for Michigan. That's too many. And then 11 offensive rebounds given up. But you can look at the numbers, and we'll look at the individual numbers. This game came down to when you're talking about basketball, getting good shots, executing, if the first option isn't there, being able to go to the second and then down the line. And then, Michigan airballing shots, missing layups, and then in a sequence of back-to-back possessions, Wolf and Gale Jr. just falling down with the ball in their hand. I don't know. Like, again, what am I going to say it again? That maybe they had to check the floor. It could have been contagious because Wake Forest had two. They didn't slip, but they just threw one out of bounds, and the other one was deflected. But also, it was a sloppy play. So sometimes teams match each other's, sometimes their intensity, and then also sometimes their propensity to turn the ball over. So maybe that was going on as well. But in the end, Michigan going to kick themselves with this one because they had some opportunities, and you hope that the shots just running dry like they did. That was a prolonged period. I noticed that there were that big run to end the half. It was only last year, but that's something that Michigan basketball did a lot last year. They'd have a lead and then they would give it up, before the half. And teams make runs, but in this one, it was Michigan's just ran out of offense with in the back half of the second half, and then certainly down the stretch, unforced turnovers and air balls and missed layups, just not going to get it done. If you want to beat a team that you're kind of level with, that was anybody's game. And Wake Forest, Michigan kind of outplayed them for most of the game, but then Michigan just not able to knock down the shots when they needed to in crunch time. And, that's always going to be important. Let's look at some of these individual numbers. Gale Jr. had 11 points, 4 boards. Let's see, 3 of 10 from the field. You're going to want to see more from Gale there. He did hit 2 free throws down the stretch. That was nice to see. Trey Donaldson got in double figures and had also 9 boards. How about 10, 9, and 4 assists? And 2 of 4 from downtown, but he missed that layup with under 3 minutes to go. That was a big one. Namari Burnett checked in with 9 points and 2 boards. Vlad Golden, 8. Like to see a little bit more from Vlad, and I'd like to see him up by 15. But Vlad had 8 and 5. And Danny Wolf had 4 points and 2 boards and 4 assists. But for as well as Danny Wolf played in the opener, he had 6 turnovers in this game, and he didn't have it. 0 of 3 from downtown, 2 of 6 from the floor. And again, this is something they're very encouraging. You liked him. Hey, the Wolf of State Street, hungry like a wolf, Danny Wolf, the Wolverines. He's a fun guy, 7-footer, no conscious, all of that. He didn't have it today and had a really subpar game with the turnovers. Off the bench, you got Kaysen. He was nice. 10 points, 2 boards, 4 assists. Sam Walters, you could see the lefty, the pure shot, had 9 points. All of those coming in from, I was going to say all of them from downtown. That's not quite true. 3 of 5 from downtown. So, in fact, I'll correct myself because 3 and 3 is 9. So, yeah, all 9 of his points coming from downtown. Jones hit those 2 I mentioned. The other southpaw playing in his first game, and he did a nice job coming in off the bench. Cheddar, as well as he played in the opener, we didn't really see much of Cheddar tonight, and just 0 of 2. That would be a question, not the first one. I'd talk about the execution and the turnovers with under 5 minutes to go in this game. But at some point, I'm going to say, did you want to get Cheddar with the matchups or what? Fat saw him in at the end of the game coming in for a little offense, defense, and maybe some fouls there, but not a lot there. Yeah, a lot of turnovers for Michigan. And looking at some of the other feedback, FU says that FU Facebook user says the missed layup by Trey hurt, but that turnover by Gale kind of sealed the game. Rebounding needs to improve, especially with 2 7-footers on the floor. No doubt about that, Mr. U. I'm with you, and you're right. And they showed it of the big turning point of the game. Gale, there's 60 seconds to go. And it is a one possession game. It's 65-63. And so Michigan, they turn Wake over, they get the ball, 1 minute to go, down a bucket. Gale, again, it wasn't somebody reaching in or anything else. He just fell over. I don't know, like imaginary rope tripped him there. And then meanwhile, the Wake guy who grabbed the ball went down and got the layup. And it was a 4-point game, and it's 41 seconds to go at that point, and the game was over. So I'm right with you. That was the biggest play of the game. How do we turn the Facebook user into our real name? Do I subscribe somewhere? Yeah, I think you go to Maize and Blue Review and you subscribe, and I think that they'll ask you for your information, and that's the way that you get in. That's what I would say. Yeah, you should do that. We're here after every Michigan basketball game, after every Michigan football game, and then 3 times a week at 2:00, talking about the latest and what's going on with Michigan football and basketball. I'd be remiss if I didn't tell you about Michigan picking up a outstanding recruit, Dusty May getting Trey McKinney out of Flint, and you can start saying you can't. You can't sell this enough, or you can't say how big of a deal this is. It's a huge deal. I mean, recruiting, we know, is a huge deal. But getting a guy in the state of Michigan, and specifically in Flint, and he's one of the top 30 players. Some services, they call him a 5-star. Rivals, he's like just on the outside of a 5-star. But you're talking about one of the top 30, top 25 players ranked in the game. It's exactly what the doctor ordered, exactly what Dusty needs, and he got him. So that's great, and nice job there by Dusty. Not such a great job by Dusty's team closing out this game against Wake Forest in a very winnable game. They'll have an opportunity to get on the right side coming up. Let's take a look at the upcoming Michigan schedule. And they will play again coming up this Friday. They'll be back in Ann Arbor to start a 3-game homestand. And the next opponent is at 6:00 this Friday against TCU. Ooh, TCU, Michigan. That can bring up some bad memories. But Michigan, TCU, 6:00 will be on after the ball game. So thanks so much for tuning in. And remember, we're here after every Michigan basketball game. If you're watching football and you're watching this after the fact, that's the way to do it. A nice 10, 15-minute recap on Michigan games as you drive to work. It's all there for you. And Michigan falls to 1-1 on the season. And we will talk with you certainly after the game coming up this Friday. And then we will see you tomorrow at 2:00. And we'll look back at the Michigan IU football game. And we'll look maybe and have a word about some hoops as well. That'll do it. Enjoy your day. And we'll talk with you soon.